If you're feeling stressed, but you don't know what you should do to help those negative thoughts and those feelings you're experiencing, then I'm here to help, because stress can leave you feeling overwhelmed and anxious, but it is possible to change how you feel with some simple steps. So I'm going to use some of the experiences that I've come across in my mental health practice to teach you how to create a personal stress management plan to change how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. Finding stress management solutions doesn't have to be difficult, but first of all, you have to recognize when you are stressed. And the problem with stress is it has a bad habit of creeping up on you so you don't even notice it at first. So you might be working late regularly, juggling too many balls in the air at once, and you normalize it and accept it until finally one additional stressor tips you over the edge. Our clients have a great ability to push themselves to the limit until finally something breaks. It could be an illness, a financial headache, or an extra commitment, and it stops them in their tracks. And suddenly they realize that the stress that they've been dealing with is overwhelming and threatening their mental as well as their physical health. So this is when we have to come up with a personal stress management plan to help them get on track. Now, I don't want you to ever get to that tipping point stage. I'd like my clients to be able to recognize their stresses before they get out of control. So part of what I'm going to be talking about is how you do that. The problem is that too many people that I work with have so much stress in their lives, but they don't come and see a therapist. They don't come and create a personal stress management plan. Instead, they use unhelpful coping strategies. And these can include drinking, so coming home every night and opening a bottle of wine and starting to drink glass after glass to get rid of the stress from the day, eating too much as a way of comforting themselves, smoking so they can get breaks at work, drugs. People will take drugs so they can get away from their worries and things that are going on in their life. Shopping addiction, we've all heard of that. That can also be caused by stress. Mainlining coffee, getting angry. These are just some of the short-term things that my clients do in order to, they think, manage their stress. And in fact, all they're doing is creating more stress and getting themselves unhealthier. So there has to be a better way. So, how do you create a personal stress management plan? Well, the first is to start with the four basics of stress management. One, identifying your stressors. So, to deal with stress, you first have to learn where it actually is coming from. Sometimes this is obvious, but on other occasions, it's difficult to pinpoint. And I'll talk to you about our stress management worksheet in a minute that can help you to think about what or whom may be making you stressed. Then you need to manage those obvious stressors. So when you've identified the areas and the people that are causing you stress, you now need to take positive action to alter how you feel. So if, for example, you're stressed because you're working too many hours, a simple solution might be to cut those hours back to give you some time out. Again, the stress management worksheet can help you identify some of these solutions. You've got general stress relief strategies. So in addition to taking action against the stressors where possible, you also need to practice general stress relief. And I've included a large number of strategies as we go along in this to help you with this. And these need to be practiced regularly and consistently to make a difference. And finally, changing those underlying thought processes. Sometimes the stress that our clients are feeling is not necessarily from an external source, but comes from an internal thought or pressure that you're putting on yourself. So, for example, if you're a perfectionist, you may push yourself to limits that other people may not. And understanding your internal thoughts and how they may be impacting your health and energy levels is important for a proportion of people creating a stress management plan. So what is causing you to have this stress in your life? Well, I've created some stress management printables to help you. Now, you can get the link to these down below, and they're on my website if you want to get them from my online shop. These help you write down and analyze where your stress is coming from and really make you think about your life. It's no good you just thinking, for a second or two and assuming that that's the job done. You really need to sit down and work out not only what the problems are, but how you're going to solve them. And these printables help you do that. So you really have to think about the locations, the situations, your thought processes, and you need to do it while the stress is happening. You're writing down specifics so that you can think about how to tackle them. And whilst you may not be able to resolve things straight away, you might be able to limit your exposure to them or put in place stress reducing strategies that can work over a period of time. So, for example, again, if your work is causing you to feel stressed, you may not be able to give up your job in the short term, but you might be able to lower your hours, change departments, take a holiday, or start looking for alternative employment. There are always solutions, even though you might not be able to implement everything immediately. Learning to manage or limit your exposure to the immediate stressors can help and go a long way to making you feel significantly better. If, however, you're serious at learning to create a personal stress management plan, it makes sense to go even further and also tackle your lifestyle to help you deal with stress better. Our mental and physical health is never just impacted by one thing, but a whole host of issues that feed into the problem. And whilst you may never get perfection when you're trying to balance elements in your life, you can certainly aim to do better than you are now. Small changes all add up, and that can have a significant impact on your stress levels as a whole. So, here are some of the top things that I suggest on top of looking at where your stress is coming from and managing that, that will help you to lower your stress. Now, if there's one thing that will help you to cope with stress more than almost anything else, it's getting a good night's sleep. When you're well rested, you're able to think more clearly, you feel calmer, and you're more able to cope with things much more easily. However, if you get a bad night's rest, then you're tired, you're more irritable, and small stresses can become really amplified, and you're going to feel less in control. Studies have shown there is a direct link between stress and poor sleep quality, and that sleep hygiene should be taught to help people manage the problem. Now, even one bad night's sleep can have a negative impact on how you feel. So think about what having a string of them does to your mental health. So if you want to start changing your stress levels in your life, prioritizing your sleep is one of the most important things you do. Aim to get at least between 7 and 9 hours sleep a night. That's the average. So don't go below and don't do significantly more. Now, of course, if you're stressed, it can be hard to switch off initially. So there are other, tools and tactics you can use. Sleep sprays, melatonin. There's a thing called a doodle or machine that can help you. And I give my clients a sleep hypnosis download that's been created to switch off, that busy mind of yours. And by the way, I will put a link to the page on my website that has these products on them, so that if you want to go and research them, you can and decide if they're going to be helpful for you. Now, I mentioned just briefly there about self-hypnosis. Self-hypnosis is a great tool to help quieten a busy mind. And as part of my stress management plans, my clients may get relaxation audios, ones to use at bedtime, ones to help them feel more confident, depending on what the issues are. And part of their job is to deliver positive suggestions. But in the case of the sleep one, it's designed to get your brain to switch off from a busy day. So do think about self-hypnosis as a really good tool to quieten down that mind of yours at night. The next thing you can do is think about creating a work stress management plan, because I know from experience, having worked with thousands of clients over the years, that work stress and anxiety can be behind many of my clients' problems. This can either be from company demands, problems with managers or work colleagues, or personal pressures that our clients tend to put on themselves. So if you're starting a new job, the best stress management plan is to agree on your work boundaries before you start. Make it clear how many hours you want to work and ask for details on how many hours are required that may be extra above that. When you're signing a new contract, make sure you haven't agreed to terms that will take over your life and that of your family. Managing stress at work before it gets out of hand is always the simplest and easiest route to take. If your managers know that you're going to start work at 8 and finish at 5, and of course you might do the odd extra hour here and there, that isn't a problem. But it's much harder to make the changes when you have continually worked well over the hours that you should have done for weeks, if not years, because then the additional time is almost expected from your company. And I understand that additional hours are often part of life, but to manage your stress, only agree to do them for a short period of time or limit the amount of them you do in 1 week. So you may choose to work a few hours longer for 1 or 2 days, but make sure you go home on time for the remainder of the week. Otherwise, your family life and your life is going to suffer. Also, make sure that you're not pushing pressure on yourself to achieve things that aren't coming from the company. So many of my clients are their own worst enemies. They work well over the allotted hours and burn themselves out. Effective stress management means stepping back sometimes to protect your well-being. Now, as well as self-hypnosis to reduce stress, meditation is also a perfect activity that you could do to reduce your stress levels and relax your body. It's going to be a really calming activity that reduces your blood pressure and can help you to reduce or even eliminate stress, often in as short as just a few sessions. Even better, meditation is something that you can practice almost anywhere. And whilst we recommend that our clients maybe set up a little meditation zone in their house or their garden, you don't have to do this. All you need is somewhere peaceful to sit for 10 to 20 minutes to relax and to focus your mind. Again, there are some great products that are on my website that can help you to slow down your mind and, will increase the effectiveness of the meditation. And just for comfort, for example, like meditation cushions. So you can have a look on my website and see some things there, but meditation definitely useful for stress. You probably knew I was going to mention this one, exercise. Exercise is well known for being an activity that can benefit your mental and physical health. The only problem is that most people just don't do enough. And studies have shown that regular exercise is great at helping people to manage perceived stress, which is why it should be added to any stress relief program. Now, there are some benefits, of course, for exercise. It helps to remove tension in the body, it will boost your energy level, it releases feel-good endorphins, it assists with relaxation, it helps you focus, and it improves your sleep. Plus, it gets you healthy. Life can be stressful, but with the right stress management plan in place, you can start to feel better. In fact, even a small amount of exercise is going to have positive benefits on you. Now, whilst you can choose to exercise and get healthy indoors, there are additional benefits of getting outside and doing exercise in nature. Now, remember, you don't have to be doing something very strenuous, such as running. Even a brisk walk once a day can help you to manage that stress. So just remember that. The key to reducing stress with exercise is consistency. Pencil it in your diary and see what a difference it can start to make in your life, even within a few short weeks. Now, the next point I meant to make is so important. Effective boundary setting can make a world of difference to your stress symptoms because it forces you to limit problem areas in your life. Our lives are stressful enough as it is, but they're often made worse by others placing you in positions that you don't necessarily want to be in, but you agree with. I regularly see clients who've had part of their lives eroded by other demands from their relatives, family, work colleagues that leave them unable to cope. So this could be their children asking them regularly to take care of their grandkids, work asking for a few extra hours that you can ill afford to give, or friends continually asking for favours that you don't have time for. The key to effective boundary setting to help you feel better is clearly stating what you can and can't do, and exercising that word no when you feel that others are going too far. People will continue to push boundaries if they know they can get away with it, but when they're given a firm and polite no a few times, they're going to stop asking. Make sure you cultivate healthy relationships rather than being a pushover. Now, in the past, self-care techniques were often overlooked as coping mechanisms for stress, but increasingly they've been accepted as a great way to help. Self-care covers a huge array of activities, but what it really means is doing something positive for yourself to help your well-being. Nothing in self-care is considered a waste of time when it comes to looking after yourself and your mental health. So that means if you want to sit down and watch TV for a few hours, go ahead and do it. If you want to have a bath again and just languish in it for an hour, then fine, do it. Do something creative, that's okay as well. Read a book, do some exercise, anything like that that gives you a sense of well-being and is your time is important to relieve stress. Now this one might be a bit odd, you think, to put on a personal stress management plan, recommendations for food, but in fact a healthy diet can make a difference. If you're eating processed foods and comfort eating, it can make you tired, sluggish, lower your energy levels and even make you feel anxious. Eating healthy food is one of our major tips to help you with stress reduction. Think about eating a healthy diet, complex carbs, proteins, good fats, natural ingredients. They're going to help in stabilizing your blood sugar to prevent energy crashes. You're helping to cut inflammation, cut cortisol and reduce adrenaline. Don't let your stressful lifestyle make you lose focus when it comes to eating better. Instead, plan your meals and prioritize healthy home-cooked food over convenience store offerings or takeaways. There are so many recipe books that you can find on the internet or, free recipes out there that you can use and try at home. They don't have to take ages to cook either because we are all time poor. Have a look on there, see what's available and start putting it in your diet. Mindfulness is another great way to help with stressful situations, as it is a proven effective coping strategy to help with mental health, and it particularly is useful for stress and anxiety. Plus, it isn't expensive or difficult to use, which means it's accessible to everyone. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to do mindfulness in this particular video, but you can go and buy some books. There's one that I recommend. Again, you can find the link on my website, Mindfulness, an 8-week plan to finding peace in a frantic world. That's one that you can start to use so that you can practice this at home. Mindfulness techniques such as mindful breathing or walking can help to keep you feeling grounded in the present and give you relief from emotional problems. So definitely something that you might want to add to your stress relief strategy. Finally, deep breathing. Now, sometimes the simplest solutions are the best when dealing with the negative impact of stress. Deep breathing is a form of stress relief, and it's a perfect tool that you can use as a coping mechanism to help you feel calmer and more relaxed. There are numerous breathing exercises available on the internet to help you lower stress, and one of our favorites is the 7-11 breathing method because of its simplicity. You're simply breathing in for the count of 7 and then out for the count of 11. And if you can't manage to last for that number of counts, make sure that your out breath is longer than your in breath. You will still get a benefit. Practice this techniques for 5 minutes and you should find yourself feeling calmer relatively quickly. This costs you absolutely nothing, but it is something you can bring into your life. So for more information about mental health, well-being and wellness, head to rewirethemind.com, download our self-hypnosis audios, use our worksheets and read the blog to create positive changes in your life.